So I've moved the camera far back as I could so that I get the whole length of the body in. And so hopefully that'll work. That's it. Okay, so we're gonna come to the front edge of our mat. And yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of stepping back, stepping forwards. But I'd like to start with a sun salutation. If you want, you can bring the inner edge of the feet together, come into a classic Tadasana. Bring the arms down by your side. Just have a few moments here to connect with the body, with the breath. So it's going to be somewhat of a vinyasa session, a flow session, based on classic standings, okay? Most of them, but I'd like to do a whole range of standing poses. So once we come into Tadasana, we can close our eyes for a few moments. Letting your spine grow, feeling the feet, lengthening the toes, broadening the base of the toes, feeling the heels, the outer edge of the feet, inner edge. And very lightly engaging the legs. Sense of engaging the thighs very lightly, growing all the way up through the body, through the spine, to the crown. We gently draw the arms down by the sides. Classic Tadasana position. The fingers, be aware the fingers are there together, slightly separate. Lengthening the fingers. And growing the spine vertebra by vertebra towards the crown. So I'd like to connect with your breath. If you want, you could engage with diaphragmatic breath. But do feel free during the sequence to take as many breaths or extra breaths that you need to stay within your own rhythm, yeah? Because I'm going to be going at my rhythm, you're going to be going at your rhythm. We just try to synchronize as much as possible with our own breath and with each other. With an exhale, we're going to open the eyes, bring the palms together into Namaste. So I'm going to take my arms, as it were, up through the center, just because I've got a wall really close. On an inhale, I take the arms up, reach up, exhale, draw the arms down, fold into my legs. You can bend the knees slightly. Inhale, walk back, grounding the palms into dog pose. Taking a few breaths there. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on the hands and the feet in this session. On an inhale, coming into all fours. Exhale, swinging the hips back. Inhale, we're going to drop through 8-point pose very briefly into Bodhiyoga. Gently lifting through the front of the body. Exhale, release down. Inhale, all fours again, and back into dog pose. Breathing there. So reconnecting with diaphragmatic breath. We're working with that. On an inhale, walking both feet forward, other feet together or feet separate. Exhale into your legs. Inhale, long spine coming up, reaching up again. Exhale, Namaste. So that's one cycle. We're going to do that 2 or 3 times. Inhale, taking the arms up. Exhale, folding into your legs. Inhale, stepping back into dog pose. Grounding the palms, lengthening through both sides of the body. Not being in any rush here. Just gently stepping in to your practice, into this vinyasa practice. With an inhale, dropping the knees. Exhale, dropping the hips back. Inhale, sweeping through 8-point pose into Bhujangasana. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale, all fours back to dog pose. Being aware of what your head and neck are doing. So as you know, we teach this alignment of ears and upper arms rather than letting the head hang, but being aware what you do, where you go with that. Inhale, walking the feet forwards, either together or apart, releasing into the legs. Inhale, long spine, bending the knees. Exhale, namaste. And repeat, inhale, taking the arms up. Exhale, releasing into the legs. Inhale, gaze forward, step back. Dog pose. I'm feeling the weight grounding through the hand towards the ring finger, little finger, also lengthening the index and thumb on each hand. Sense of the heels slightly lifting but moving towards the floor in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale forward. Exhale, we drop the hips back. Inhale, sweeping through 8-point pose very briefly to Bhujangasana. Elbows in. Exhale, release down. All fours, dog pose. Reconnecting with diaphragmatic breath. Walking your feet forwards, either together or apart. Releasing into your legs, coming up through a very soft Utkatasana. Arms up. Exhale, namaste. Inhale, arms again, floating up. Exhale, floating forwards, folding over your hips. Inhale, step back, dog pose. Sense of engaging your legs, front of the legs in order to open the backs of the legs. Arms engaged, grounding the palms. Inhale, force. Exhale. Hips back, inhale. Dropping through 8-point pose into Bhujangasana. Releasing to all fours and back into dog pose. Again, aware of the feet, lengthening your toes, ball of the big toe, grounded, broadening across the ball of the little toe. Reconnecting with the breath. On an inhale, walking forwards and releasing into the legs. Coming up for a very light Utkatasana. Exhale, namaste. One more round of the sun salutation, arms up on the inhale. Exhale, folding. Inhale, walking back to dog pose. Just checking in on the kind of effort we're making. So approaching this with balanced effort, not too lazy, not too hard. Looking for an engaged or engaging your energy. Inhale into a force. Exhale, hips back. Inhale, coming forwards through 8-point pose into Bhujangasana. Chest stays low. Exhale, release down. All fours on the inhale and back into dog pose. We're going to approach the warrior poses from here. I'd like you to bring your big toes together. So in dog pose with big toes together, we're going to reach back with the right leg back and up. Allow the hips to roll out a little bit. We're going long on the hands to the sole of the right foot, and then step the right foot forward, grounding the left foot, and we're going to float up. Bring the hands onto the hips. Taking the gaze forwards, the hips coming forwards. Again, just I've got this wall here, so I'm going to sweep the arms forwards and up, but you could take the arms into the cactus position if you prefer. We can take the gaze up, lengthening through the upper body, aware that this is somewhat of a back bend. You need to have a sense of protecting the lower back area, engaging the back leg. Exhale, releasing down and stepping back into dog pose, bringing the big toes together, down through the center line. Reconnecting with the breath, working with the diaphragmatic breath there. Projecting your left leg up and back, allowing the hips to be more or less level, so that intensifies the stretch in the back of the right leg. Stepping your left foot forwards, grounding the right foot. You can be aware of the tram lines there, floating up hands to hips. Gaze forwards, hips forwards. Softening around the shoulders, broadening around the shoulders. Breathing in, and we're going to sweep the arms up into either cactus, or what I'm doing here is crossing the thumbs and pulling up slightly, taking the gaze up, going for this position. Back leg firm. Being aware of compression in the lower back here, as you've got an extension of the spine. You can reduce that by bringing your weight forwards. And then from the exhale, release. Back into dog pose. Separating the feet now. Inhaling into a force. Exhale, hips back. Inhale, coming through. 8-point pose. Lifting up into Bhujangasana. Release out. Inhale, forwards. Exhale, dog pose. Feet separate. Reconnecting with the breath. Long through both sides of the body. Going to walk forwards. Feet can come together or be hip width, releasing into your legs. Coming up through a light Utkatasana. Reaching up, exhale, namaste. Inhale, taking your arms up. Exhale, folding into your legs. Stepping again back into dog pose. And once again, I like to bring the big toes together down through the center line. You can just check there. Head in line with the upper arms. Projecting the right foot back and up, right leg back and up. Long, going for a long, straight leg. Stepping the right foot forwards. And now we're going to turn. I'm going to turn away from the camera. So I'm going to turn towards the left edge of my mat, the long edge, and possibly go for a wide base for warrior 2. So I'm going to take the left arm back, palm facing the ceiling, and look back. And then taking the right arm forwards, look forwards, coming into warrior 2 or warrior 1, depending on how you name them, Pajva, Virabhadrasana. So we're facing the long edge of the mat now. Growing the spine, the gaze can go along the right arm. We can explore dropping down into the space between the feet, lining up the right knee in the same plane as the whole of the body, so it's not dropping in or out. And from that exhale, we're going to pivot round to face the floor, step back, dog pose. More difficult from that wide foot position. Inhale into all fours. Exhale, hips going back. Inhale, going through 8-point pose to Bodhiyoga. Exhale, back into all fours. Dog pose. And big toes together. Taking a pause there for a moment. Grounding the palms. Lengthening from the palms to the sitting bone. That's the stance through both sides of the body. Taking your left leg back and up. There's one long line from your hands through the spine to the left foot. The left foot swings forward. And then turning to the long edge, right edge of your mat. So hopefully I'm turning to the camera this way. And then we reach back with the right arm, looking back. And adjusting the sense of the spine in the vertical axis. Taking the left arm, looking out along the in terms of opening, hip rotating. So being aware of what's going on in the pelvic area, in the hip area. Breathing there. Again, looking to bring your left knee in line with the whole of the pose, so it's not falling in, not falling out. And then we're going to look down, and again, it's more difficult to come to dog pose, but swinging round into dog pose, stepping back into dog pose on an inhale or fours. Once again, coming through 8-point pose in your own time into Bodhiyoga. Back into dog pose. And stepping forwards, walking forwards. Feet can either be a separate or hip width. Releasing into the legs. Inhale, coming through a light Utkatasana, arms floating up.
Exhale, namaste. Breathe in there. And then bring your hands back down by your side into Tadasana. Reconnecting with Tadasana. Growing the spine. Engaging the legs slightly. Feeling the feet grounded. So we're going to bring the hands to the hips now. So the next pose is we're going to come from standing rather than go around the sequence there. So I'd like you to step your right foot back and a bit of a shorter stance for triangle pose, okay? So hips facing the long edge, right edge of your mat. Reach up through the left arm. Reach up to opening the left side of the body, lengthening through the left side of the body as we tip out the pelvis to the left. In your own time, bringing the left hand to the shin and looking down there. Both legs straight now. Long through both sides of the body. Grounding both feet evenly, sense of the big toe, little toe side, the weight even. And then if it feels okay that you're balanced and so on, you can extend your right arm up and even look up. Depends on your balance. Long through both sides of the neck. So attention to what's happening in your neck. Breathing now. Engaging the legs. Engaging the arms. Bending the front leg, looking down. We're going to swing up. Carefully step back to Tadasana. Reconnecting with the breath. Growing the spine. Hands to hips, turning to the left. Your left foot goes back, medium distance. Floating your right arm up. Opening out the right side of the body. Both legs straight as you pivot to the right, coming into triangle pose on the right side, noticing any differences between your two sides. Starting off looking down. Again, sense of lining up the legs, the upper body all in one plane. Even weight in the feet. It's okay with your balance, taking the top arm up and looking up. Breathing now. Attentive to what's happening in the neck and shoulders, a sense of broadness and length, broadness across the shoulders, length through both sides of the neck. Both legs engaged. Looking down, bending the front knee as we pull ourselves back up and carefully step back into Tadasana. So we can bring the feet together or be hip width, growing the spine. Reconnecting with the breath. Okay, so the next two poses are going to be more challenging because they involve what we call paravrita, so turning. So we're going to come into the first paravrita with the front leg bent from the floor. So on an inhale, floating the arms up. Exhale, folding into your legs. Inhale, step back into dog pose. Bringing the big toes together in line, touching into the center line, reaching back with your right foot, as we just did, length from the hands, through the body, to the sole of the right foot. The right foot steps forwards, but we stay low here. So I want you to drop the pelvis, the left leg straight, and then ground your left palm Or you can stay on the fingertips and then turn towards your right leg. There's a low lunge twist. We want to try and keep the right thigh hugging into the center line. So this is quite a challenging pose. If you want to take your right arm up, you can do and look up, but keeping that right inner thigh hugging in to the center line. Breathing there, back leg firm, extending through both arms, extending through the left leg. And releasing down, swinging back up into dog pose. Big toes coming together in the center line, engaging the palms, lengthening through both sides of the body, reconnecting with the breath, taking your left leg back and up, long, from the palms to the sole of the left foot. The left foot comes forward, we stay low. Grounding your right palm, aware of the left inner thigh hugging towards the center line, staying tucked in, or as it were, closing in towards the center line as we then turn to the left, turning towards the bent leg. Breathing there. So it's actually easier on my wrist to slightly turn the right hand out and then extending through the left arm, looking up, trying to stay hugged in, the left inner leg hugged into the center line, and the upper body also staying in the center line. There's a tendency for everything to, as it were, open out here, away from the center line. So see if you can keep yourself, as it was, centrally aligned. Breathing that back leg firm. Weight going through your right arm, extending up through the left. When we're ready, we're coming down. Palms grounded. Dog pose. One last visit. We're going to come through all fours, dropping back into child's pose, coming through 8-point pose last time into Bhujangasana. Dog pose. Walking forwards, stepping forwards, feet either together or apart. Folding into your legs, inhale, coming up to a light Utkatasana, arms up. Back into Tadasana. Bringing the hands down by your side. Taking a pause there. Recentering into Tadasana. Sense of tall, soles of the feet to the crown in the vertical axis. So this next pose is helpful to have a cork brick, okay? So just to bring you out of that little flow, you might want to put a cork brick to the right corner of your mat, or a couple of bricks to the right corner of your mat. I want you to step your right leg back, hands then come onto the hips. Both legs going to be straight here as we reach up through the right arm and lengthen, sense of lengthening through the front of the body. As we keep both legs straight, I want you to reach forwards, keeping the pelvis facing forward. And as much as you can, both legs straight, we can take hold of the brick here, which is going to make it easier, brick end on. There's a sense of lengthening down through that center line, hugging into the center line, and rotating to the left. So we're having a go at Paravrita Trikonasana. Depending on where you're at with this, you may want to bring the brick or the hand to the floor, a bit lower down,
and explore taking the top arm up. So my little ear pod is wanting to drop out. I'm just going to see what's happening. Okay, so working with trying to keep the legs straight here, which is very demanding. And taking advantage of that brick on the floor to get a bit of lift into your right shoulder, so you can then turn through the body. Great. And bending the front leg, swinging the top arm down. To come up, we can move the brick across, stepping forwards. Take a pause in Tadasana. So it's strong on the legs, strong on the pelvis, that pose. So feeling the effect. Being aware of the effect, reconnecting with the breath. Growing your spine, floating up through to the crown. We're going to step the left foot back, medium distance, the hips staying forwards, floating the left arm up, reaching up, both legs staying straight as we then pivot forwards over the pelvis. So it may help to bend the front leg, having said that, at least to come into the pose, bring the brick end on to begin with, lengthen through the spine. Staying in that center line, sense of lengthening and turning to the right now. Breathing there, so it can help to reconnect with the tram lines as well, so you slightly widen the foot base. In terms of width, exploring, bringing the hand to the floor or the brick lower. Exploring turning the upper body. And taking the top arm up is the last detail here. Obviously, if you're working with more less experienced students, you encourage them to keep the work more in the legs and turning the upper body before thinking about taking the top arm up and turning. Can end up being too much strain to get there if you haven't got the turn through the legs, pelvis and upper body. From there, exhaling, bending the front leg. We can move the brick out of the way, coming up. Carefully step back into Tadasana. Enjoying a sense of having worked the legs there, work the pelvis. Reconnecting with the breath, reconnecting with your feet, grounded, big toe to little toe, heels, inner edge of the feet, outer edge of the feet. Spine growing, close the eyes even. Inhale, we're going to float the arms up, looking up. Exhale, folding into your legs. Inhale, walking back, log pose. Okay, so we're going to try these couple of balances here. So I want you to bring the big toes again together through that center line. Take your right leg back. One continuation from the hands through the hips to the sole of the right foot, then stepping the right foot forward, but sort of middle distance now, middle distance. So lock between the hands and then come up onto the fingertips. So we're ready to launch ourselves up, lifting the left leg up, straightening the right leg. As though we're going to come up into halfway into Warrior 3. So we can take this a little bit further. So we lift away from the floor, take the arms back in line with the hips. It's very strong, taking them forwards. So looking down, lifting the back leg, Lifting the chest, arms staying in line. I'm losing my balance. Taking the fingertips to the floor. Step back to dog pose, big toes together. Just like floating in the perpendicular there, with the leg perpendicular, where you're parallel to the floor. You're up, your body and leg is parallel to the floor, the leg perpendicular. Left leg now, projecting back. And step, not all the way forwards. It's like 3/4 of the way or 2/3 of the way forwards. Come onto the fingertips. Float the back leg up. And see if you can straighten the front leg. Okay, we're then lifting the upper body, lifting the arms in line. That is that we're parallel to the floor here. Got no idea. Let me just see what's happening. Wow. So you can project your arms forwards if you're up for that, for the full Virabhadrasana 3. Otherwise, so fingertips to the floor. Great, Sangeeta's having a go. Once it's very strong on the standing hip. So to relieve that, bring the fingertips to the floor and step back into dog pose. Ears in line with the arms. Okay, we're going to drop down to all fours for a moment. And we're going to rest completely into child's pose. So take the arms through the legs there. Let your forehead rest down. Relaxing completely here. Just for a few moments. I'm going to do one more standing balance. Okay, so bringing the arms forwards, coming into all fours, into dog pose, big toes together, and reaching back, right foot. Okay, so again, 2/3, 3/4 forwards, your right foot. Come onto your fingertips, lifting up the back leg. This time I'm going to drop the left hand down or stay on the fingertips or use a brick, should I say, on the left hand and turn to the right. This should be a bit easier actually. Taking possibly your right arm up, coming into Paravrita Ardha Chandrasana. So reverse half moon. Extending through the back leg, turning towards your right, projecting up into your right arm, or your right hand could come onto the pelvis, and you just emphasize lengthening through the spine and turning away from the floor. Still strong on the standing leg hip for sure, projecting through the back leg, and from there releasing down. And dog pose, big toes together. Reconnecting with the breath, diaphragmatic breath. Projecting the left leg back, which now comes 3/4 of the way forwards, 2/3 onto your fingertips, floating the right leg up. You can use your brick here, so you ground your right hand and you're lengthening pubic bone through the front of the body. It's the pubic bone to throat, turning to the left now, both legs straining, projecting up into the left hand, left shoulder lifting, left ribs lifting. So we're turning to the left. Both legs engaged. Breathing now, so you can bring your top arm down. Rest it on the body and look down. When you're ready, we're going to step down and step back into dog pose, separating the feet now. Inhale into all fours and release now into a longer held child's pose. Releasing the forehead to the floor, releasing the shoulders and the neck. Enjoying a sense of having worked the legs, the pelvis more actively there. Okay, so we're not flowing too dynamically, but there is a sense of flowing through the sequence. So I wanted to just rest here for a few moments, reconnecting with the whole body, with the breath. Sense as well of connecting with the sense of your heart, the emotions. Okay, from there, bringing your hands forwards into all fours. So we are going to revisit something that we did, in that last class of 2022. So the yin sequence. So this is a set of poses that go together. So we're going to come first of all to the high swan. So you bring your right shin forwards, and you can come up onto your fingertips for a moment, possibly, or to the palms, and lift through the upper body. So we're taking weight quite strongly down into the pelvis. Let the gaze up. If it's easier to be on your palms, being on the palms, there's a sense of lifting up out of this pose, away from the floor. It may be helpful to lift the pelvis a little bit higher if it's too strong on your pelvis. Okay, from there, we're going to drop your right buttock down and bring your right hand forwards and look back to the left leg. So it's slightly turning through the upper body as we bend up the left leg. We're going to go for a thigh stretch. So you're bringing your left heel towards you to really engage the stretch in the left thigh. So-called goddess pose. Breathing there. So if you've got the flexibility, you can hook your left foot into your left elbow. So having spent quite a bit of time on the feet, working the legs, working the pelvis, we're going to now passively stretch into that area, which should give a sense of relief in the pelvis and in the legs. So we're turning to the left,
and stretching the left thigh here. Then we release the left leg and swing the left leg forwards. I'm going to swing round, coming into shoelace. So see if we can wrap the legs and sit between the feet, coming into shoelace, growing the spine, sitting bones down. Closing your eyes for a moment, reconnecting with the breath. So I've got my left leg on top, right leg underneath. So I'm now going to move out to my left side to come into a lateral stretch. Okay, so I'm opening the right side of the body as I move to the left. So the right sitting bone stays down, opening the right side of the body here, feeling the compression in the left side, opening in the right side. So allowing yourself to be there for a few breaths. Carefully coming back up to center, releasing your legs out as we come back into dog pose. Feet separate, opening the backs of the legs, grounding the palms. Swinging now your left shin forwards and down, coming into the high swan, or the, as it were, the upward swan. So staying high, the pelvis can stay lifted. So if it's too intense on the lower back, then lift the pelvis and don't lift the chest so much. Okay, so this can be quite intense in terms of compression on the lower back, and it can be quite intense on the right hip flexor. Okay, so we're opening the front of the right hip as much as is possible. If it's more comfortable, come down onto the palms. It's not a completely yin pose, this sense of lifting through the upper body. Breathe in now. Gaze going up. And then from here, we're going to drop to the left buttock down, turning to our right, looking back towards the right leg. So you can bring your left hand forwards and then explore bending the back leg, so it's your right leg, and stretching the right thigh. I'm just noticing how tight this is. Wow, I spent all afternoon soaring up logs. So just easing into this stretch on the right thigh, right hip flexor. Being aware of the mix of sensations through the spine, so it's a mixture of a twist and an extension, element of lateral movement as well. It's quite a complex pose, really. If you can, you're hooking your right arm around your right leg, right lower leg, looking back to the right. Breathing now, and then from there we're going to swing the leg down and forwards, carefully coming into shoelace on just in the center line, both sitting bones down, closing the eyes, growing your spine. Softening the shoulders, reconnecting with the breath, connecting with a sense of the quality of your heart energy, emotions. So we're going to tip out now to the right side. We're exploring this lateral movement. So the right, you're taking your right arm out in the line of the hips, opening the right side. Obviously, we're bringing compression to the left, into the opening the left side, bringing compression to the right side. Breathing there for a few breaths. Right, feeling down through the body. Where's this working your body? So being as attentive as you can in this moment. Both sitting bones are down. Okay, from there, very carefully restacking your spine up to the center line. And we're going to come down onto the back of the body. So it would be helpful to have the cork brick again, or you could have 4 foam bricks. So what I'd like us to do is to come into a supported bridge, okay, where we bring a brick underneath the sacrum. So I'm going to go with the cork brick. But if you haven't got one, or you've got another way of doing this, then bring, maybe the foam bricks or bolster underneath the pelvis. So again, we're working on the hip flexors, but much more quietly now, much more passively. So if you're, okay, the benefit of using the cork brick there is you can interlace the fingers underneath you and project the backs of the hands away from you. That helps to open the upper section of the chest, around the shoulders, the pectoral area, as well as being the supported bridge neck long. So whatever way you're doing this, we're doing your best to have a sense of opening the upper chest area. Neck long, neck soft. To spend a few moments in the supported bridge, but we're going to take it into a supported inversion. So we'll take the legs up in a moment. Okay, so first of all, enjoying a sense of the bridge, positioning the bricks appropriately. Sense of opening the upper chest area, arms slightly active. And when you're ready, you can extend your legs up. So if you're on a cork brick, there's that issue of balance. You're wanting to be careful there, keeping the sacrum, as it were, in maximum contact with the end of the brick. With a sense of tipping the pelvis away from you and diversion of the pelvis. Engaging lightly the legs in supported shoulder stand. Understand that last week's editor did shoulder stand and maybe more elaborated. So you can always do a sort of basic version of an inversion, even with beginners. Here you could use 3 or 4 foam bricks or a bolster. So your students can have the experience of coming into being upside down for a moment. So it could be a real relief for the body, given we spend so much time upright. And this version where we're supporting the pelvis has the benefit of also decompressing the spine, a sense of decompressing the lumbar area. So from there, bringing one foot down, the other leg down, removing your support, coming into semi-supine for a moment, and taking one hand onto each knee. We're going to gently do a Panasana 8 or 10 times. Slowly with the breath as we exhale, floating the knees towards us, we inhale, floating the knees away. So I'm going to leave you to do Shavasana later, but what I'd like to do now is to lead us through a very short or short-ish meditation session. So I'd like you to come up into, well, maybe you want to put some more clothes on to be a bit warmer, but come into a seated position, okay? So we're going to do something, a practice, for about 15 minutes, okay? So 15-20 minutes. We're going to go slightly over time. Hopefully that's okay. And if you've got time later, you can do Shavasana if you so wish. But just make sure you're going to be warm enough. I've been ambitious to put shorts on today. So we're going to do a practice. I've been during December and over the new year, I've been working through some led practices by one of our meditation teachers in Triratna called Kamala Shila. He was leading a retreat on a particular figure, but as part of the practice, he was also leading metta practice, loving kindness practice, and breathing practice. But also was doing some work with the elements. So what I'd like us to do now is move as a mindfulness practice, move through the four great elements of earth, water, fire, and breath, just as a means of centering ourselves, but also a sense of letting go into those elements, okay? So it's gonna take about 15-20 minutes to do that. And we've done this on the teacher training, we've done this, okay? It'll be familiar. And the emphasis is connecting with the quality of the element in your body. So it's really a sense of grounding, a sense of connecting with sort of tangible aspect of your experience. At the same time, this is what Kamala Shila was suggesting and pointing out, was our whole experience is a great mystery in a sense. Okay, so where these elements come from and where they go is a great mystery. But here they are. So I'd like to come into an seated upright position and close the eye. As I say, make sure you're going to be warm enough. I'm going to connect, first of all, with the whole body. So you could think of this as a mindfulness of the body experience or practice through the elements. So first of all, getting a sense of the whole body and a sense of your mood. Whatever we're experiencing, we can bring in quality of kindness and patience. Sense of letting go also. Being aware of the wave of sensation and energy as a consequence of the asana practice. Maybe you're feeling more alive, more connected, more open, more rested, more at ease, even more grounded. Or maybe not, maybe there's a sense of agitation. That's okay. So first of all, I'd like to connect with the quality of earth. There's a sense of solidity, hardness, resistance in your body. Being aware of, for example, sense of the sitting bones on your seat, sense of hardness, solidity in the joints, various parts of the body. The earth element is a sense of cohesion, solidness, resistance, weight, density. And just explore the possibility of holding that experience lightly. A sense of holding it lightly, gently, kindly. At the same time, a sense of letting go. Aware of that quality of earth, the earth element. Solidity, weight, hardness. The world around us is made up of the earth element, buildings, floor, vehicles, cars, trees, pavements. Aware of that quality around us as much as within us. A sense of holding that quality with lightly, with kindness, at the same time as a sense of letting go, of grasping the earth element. Whatever that means for you. Aware now of this quality of water, liquid, moisture. Be aware of sense of water, liquid in your own body, in the eyes, the mouth, in the hands. The water elements is the quality of stickiness, humidity, fluidity. So you can be aware of our own bodies, various manifestations of that quality, blood, sweat, so on. A sense of being aware of that quality in your own body, holding it lightly, holding it kindly. However it's manifesting. Often we can be quite embarrassed by this particular quality in the body, but there it is, part of our nature. Being aware of the water element. In your own body. And then we can be aware of that quality around us in the form of rain, moisture in the ground, rivers, pools, the water that we drink. liquid we drink. And again, a sense of being aware of that quality, holding it lightly, even a sense of letting go. Whatever that means for you. And move into awareness of the fire element, the sense of warmth, the heat, coolness. You may feel that in your body now, in the hands, in the belly, in the mouth, in your skin, sense of warmth or coolness. Basic aspect of our vitality, being human, being an animal, being a mammal, sense of warmth in the body. If you can tune in with this element, fire element, directly in your own experience, your own nature, quality of fire, heat, warmth. We can be aware of that quality outside of us. Maybe there's some warmth or coolness in the room where you are. You can be aware of the sun, probably gone down. The sun is the basic source of heat. Be aware of whatever heating system you've got, the fires, central heating. Quality of the fire element outside of it. Coolness, heat. Again, whatever it means for a sense of letting go of that quality, holding it lightly, kindly, not grasping. And then coming into the fourth element we're going to explore now is the air element. The air element, most obviously the breath. You feel the breath coming in, going out. Feeling this, the movement of air. Air is, in a sense, movement. Being aware of this quality of air around us, the atmosphere, which we are partaking in breath by breath. Again, a sense of letting go, or holding very lightly this element. It's difficult to say the air element is mine, belongs to me. Sense of each breath letting go, each breath breathing in and letting go. Whatever it means for you, a sense of softening the grasping around this element, the air element. So for a few moments now, just going to sit, just sit for a few moments, being aware of the mindfulness that we've generated through being aware of the four great elements, the Mahabhutas as they're called, the great ghosts, being aware of these elements arising, manifesting through your body, a sense of holding lightly, kindly, letting go. You may wish to sit on longer, and I would encourage you to do a session of Shavasana if you've got time, just for a few minutes. You lie down for a few minutes. Just like to thank you for coming along this evening, and wish you all the best for the next week or two, and we'll see each other soon. Thank you very much.